1977 was the year disco went uptown. In April, a club would open in New York and instantly become the hottest ticket on the planet. Studio 54 was owned by Brooklyn lads Steve Rubel and Ian Schrager.
It was like holding on to a lightning bolt. It seemed to be the right thing at the right time, at the right place. It just resonated with people. It struck a chord with people.
The first superclub, Studio 54, turned the inclusive underground nature of the early disco scene on its head to become the epitome of 70s exclusivity and glamour, and opened the way for disco to enter the mainstream.
I like it because it's really the nightclub of the future. It's a kind of culmination of a good nightclub that's been arriving gradually for the last 10 years.
Feeling, I mean, the excitement of the props coming down and the balcony, it's just exciting.
It gave people the incentive to want to dress up and go out. The most beautiful women, Brooke Astor types, would be coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning, limousines around the block. It was a fabulous, wonderful happening to be a part of.
It was really wild. It was wild abandonment. It wasn't very cerebral experience. It was almost tribal. It was like, you came in to really let your hair down and get released and leave the real world outside the doors.
Disco came up at the same time that sort of cocaine emerged as the drug of choice. And cocaine, we didn't really see it as something self-destructive like heroin. Cocaine, even Jimmy Carter's Surgeon General said it classified it with marijuana and said it was not addictive. But cocaine and quaaludes and poppers, they all contributed to wanting to have sex, basically.
The famous thing about Studio 54 is that they had a Coke spoon in the shape of the moon. The place was just a blizzard. They pumped it through the air conditioning.
Is it true that you pumped cocaine through the air conditioning?
No. Sort of captured the imagination of everyone. There was sex everywhere. At that time, there wasn't anything you couldn't do that you couldn't get up the next morning and walk away from.
For a long time, I used to spend my entire evening in the women's bathroom, taking up one of the stalls, like, come on, get out of here. But I had lots of coke, and the woman who was in charge let me stay. And no girl ever complained, not one. Many times, I'd get oral sex or full-on hardcore sex. If I sound nonchalant, it's only because we were just partying and everything felt cool.
Quite a lot of outrageous stuff went on at Studio 54, and I wonder if Reverina was ever a proposition.
She was a lady. She was always a lady. She was a fairy godmother. What others did, she didn't see. And whatever people say that went on, that was not something that she touched on. She wasn't there to judge.
It wasn't just clubs that were becoming futuristic. Giorgio Moroder would crystallize an orgasmic, totally synthetic disco sound that would mark the birth of electronic dance.
I started with the bass line, and then I thought I wanted everything played by the synthesizer. That includes the percussion, the snare, some of the effects, the vocoder, of course, which is a synthesizer too. was very interesting because the rhythm was really dramatic and really uplifting, but the melody is very smooth, almost romantic.
Here was a black woman steeped in a gospel past, with a white European guy playing a synthesizer and producing bleeps and sounds and taking it to #1 faster than any of the pure soul records that we're getting now. And this must have frightened the living daylights out of people.
That invented Eurodisco, it invented techno, it invented Italo disco. Suddenly it made disco European, and Europe now had a disco sound.
I hear songs in that style still now, the same bass line. Sometimes I think I could sue the whole world.